My name is Lisa Shea, and this was part of a series on horror authors, horror stories, horror novels, horror interviews, and all things horror. In this particular video, we're going to be talking about my short story, October Rain. This is a 12-page short story, 4125 words, and it's set in Sutton, Massachusetts, which is my hometown, and it has a heroine who is a high school student with Aspergers. And I have many family and friends who have Aspergers, so this is a topic that I care very much about. And the whole issue of adults and how they interact with and sometimes take advantage of students who have challenges like this is one that concerns me greatly. So this was a very personal story for me. Some of my stories that I write are, what happens if, and someone's on death row or something like that, which is a little more removed for me. But this particular story is one that's much more close and interactive and just about the way two people are dealing with each other and how people are taking advantage of a young girl. There are going to be a lot of spoilers in this because I'm going to talk about the characters and their motivations and what actually happens in the plot. So if you haven't read this yet and you care about that, then I would go read it first. If you don't care about hearing the spoilers, then that's fine, and we will go forward. So this story, I don't think there's a lot of confusion from readers about what happened, but there may be just interest in what my motivations were in writing the scenes and how I wrote the scenes. So we'll go over it from that point of view. There isn't a lot of technology or history or that kind of information going on through here. So we start with the main character, Melody, who is driving through the pounding rain, and she is pregnant, and then she is starting to have challenges. She's got blood coming out of her, and she's trying to get to help. Connor is the teacher who has been sleeping with her, but has also been fairly emotionally abusive to her and calling her a fat pig and so on. And she told him that she was pregnant, and he raced off on her. But she's sure that he'll come to his senses and come back to her. So she's trying to get to her friend Jenny's house. Jenny is a nurse at Tufts, which is it's many things, but part of it is the local animal hospital for the people in this area where we take if our dogs or cats run into trouble. Tufts is the place to go with them. So it's a very high reputation place, and so Jenny must have fairly good skills to be able to be working there. So Melody gets there, she runs out. Jenny quickly realizes that something is seriously wrong, so she gets Melody over to somewhere where they can clean up the mess afterwards. And Melody wants to save the baby, of course, because she knows it's a girl. She knows it's going to be named Rhiannon Bethany, and she's got all these plans for her. And Jenny goes to start getting towels and things to be able to help her through the birthing/miscarriage process. So Jenny knows that something's going wrong. She's trying to get Melody through it. She says to push. She pushes. There's all sorts of pain. And Jenny gets a blanket. And she's gathering up the miscarried baby. But Melody doesn't accept that she's actually miscarried the baby because she was convinced that she was going to have a girl. And the baby that was born, unfortunately dead, was a boy. So now Melody convinces herself that, she got the mistaken baby out of her, and that means now that the girl baby, which is the healthy baby, is still inside her and is going to be born perfect, and everything is going to be fine. Jenny tries to tell her what actually happened, but Melody is, through the pain and everything else that she's going on, she's just not hearing it. So Jenny gives Melody a t-shirt to wear, lets her sleep on the sofa, and then Melody wakes up and says that she'll be fine. She sleeps some more. She's really not doing well. Jenny says, maybe we should get you to a doctor. You've lost a lot of blood and stuff. And Melody says, no, I'll be fine. So now Melody wants to go to the school to talk again to the teacher, to be able to say, all right, the baby's fine. She thinks the baby's fine. And we should start talking about this because we're going to be parents together. So she drives off to the school and comes out, and now the teacher is with one of the blonde cheerleaders. So clearly this teacher not only was abusing Melody, but is also taking his pick of other students in the school system. So Melody tries to go up and talk to him and say, I'm pregnant, we need to talk about this, we need to set up an apartment and so on. So the teacher says to her, nope, you've been lying. I'm going to call your mother. She'll take her home. Melody sort of realizes that she doesn't have any proof that they've been sleeping together all this time because they didn't take pictures, and apparently there's no text messages or anything like that. And she again tries to say, well, but we have this baby. And he says, well, Jenny, the nurse, has cremated the remains because Tufts University has a crematorium where they handle their cats and dogs and things like that. So now, even though Melody didn't realize that the baby sort of served as proof that they had slept together for DNA reasons, Jenny, who seems to have also slept with this teacher at some point, realized that there was going to be proof. And so now the baby has been destroyed, and now there is no proof of any sort of tangible system that this baby had been the result of the teacher. And the teacher saying, oh, it must have been some boy in school. So now he's going to tell the parents and so on that Melody was sleeping around with someone else. She got pregnant. She had a miscarriage. This is sad, and you should take it going forward. But he's going to absolve himself of all responsibility for all of this. Melody doesn't quite understand that these are the underlying ramifications of what's going on. All she knows is that she still has a baby inside her that she thinks about, and that at some point Connor's going to come to his senses and be the proper father, and that they're going to move to an apartment together and everything is going to be happy. So she's still obsessed with the blonde baby that she knows is inside her. The mother shows up and she panics because the mother's going to scream and yell at her, as mothers tend to do in these kinds of situations. So Melody jumps into her car and goes racing off, and she doesn't know where to go because she can't go back to her mother's house. And she's starting to get a sense that Jenny's somehow involved in this, so she doesn't want to go to Jenny's house. And the place that she thinks to go is Purgatory Chasm. So I suppose this is one thing I should explain for people who don't live in the Massachusetts area. Purgatory Chasm is a very steep glacial rift, so it's where the glaciers came carving through, and they carved a chasm down into the ground that's 80 feet deep. So it's pretty impressive. It's a very cool place to go. And as part of the network of the chasm, there are also caves down beneath the chasm with very small openings. So they're not giant caves that you just go walking in. They're the types of caves that you sort of have to wriggle into, and then you get it down into a network and have to wriggle your way back out again. So she gets to Purgatory Chasm, and she finds one of the opening into the caves, and she decides she's going to hide out in here where she's safe from her mother until she can get a chance to talk to Connor again, and then everything will be fine and happy. So she inches her way down into the cave, and she gets down into the depths of the cave, and she finds a spot where kids have been smoking and drinking and all the kinds of things that kids tend to do once they get into safe hiding places. So we'll note that she still has all the blood loss and other issues involved with the miscarriage, and it had been bad enough that Jenny had wanted her to go see a doctor, and she didn't. Instead, Melody went to try to confront Connor about all of this, the teacher. So now she's in medical distress. It's freezing cold. Well, not freezing, but it's very cold. It's October in New England, which is sort of frosty when it gets to evening time, and she's in a damp place, and she's sick. So she got down into the deep caves, she huddles in, and she decides she's just going to take a nap, and she's going to die. So she's down there, no one knows where she is, they don't know where to find her, and she doesn't have to be down there for very long. Let's say she's down there for 18 hours or something like that, and she will probably die from exposure and blood loss and all the other things she's gone through. So it is a tragic ending to a tragic situation. So I think in general, there have been reports, well, I mean, there's always reports of people who have challenges, students who have challenges in schools, and all the horrific things that happen to them, that teachers will beat them or verbally abuse them or mistreat them or have sex with them and all these things because they figure no one's going to believe the child because the child has a challenge. And in some cases, the children can't talk for themselves, or in other cases like this, where she can talk, they can be out-manipulated. That he can say, oh, she's lying about this, there's no proof that I ever had sex with her, and so on. So she was in this situation. She already had a rough home life. She thought she had found a mentor and someone who cared for her and this teacher in school, but the teacher was just using her because she was an easy victim. And once she actually got pregnant, he left her, and then, I mean, he didn't cause the miscarriage. He was just trying to get away from her, but he wouldn't have accepted the child in any case. And I don't know what he would have done if she actually birthed a live child, but fortunately for him, from his point of view, she did not birth a live child, and he had Jenny in his pocket, so he was able to get Jenny to take care of the evidence so that there was no evidence that this child belonged to him. And he was going to just move on to another victim and let her languish in her pain. So those are some of the thoughts involved. Since I wrote this in Sutton, which is my hometown, I was able to put a lot of the details in it about like what October is like, what the wet weather is like, what the Purgatory Chasm area is like. So hopefully I was able to bring some of that to life. And I love fall around here, but it does also have a creepy, moody kind of feel to it, sort of a desolate feel at times. It's raining out right now, and it brings that sort of desolate, lonely kind of dripping feel to it. So I wanted to set it in that kind of environment. So let me know if you have any questions about the storyline or how I crafted it or the kinds of scenes I chose. You can leave comments in there for me. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to talking with you soon. All right, bye.